Good afternoon and welcome to live coverage of Havant and Waterlooville versus Eastbourne Borough in the National League South. I'm Matt Drabble, alongside me as ever is Adam Nixon, bringing you all the action from the Draper Tools Community Stadium. McCarthy lays back off to Billy Clifford and he'll look to fire out to the left-hand side early, where Jason Pryor's made a run forward up the touchline, nodded down to Mo Fowl, and Fowl back to Goburn, and the Hawks have just settled the ball midway inside Eastbourne Borough territory. James Roberts right-hand side finds Passley from right back. Bright start from the Hawks this as Passley flicks it back to Roberts, who can cross from here, and it's blocked behind for a Hawks throw deep inside Eastbourne Borough territory. Here's Shiloh Remy though, just the wrong side of Joe Newton momentarily. Shiloh Remy to curl one, and it wasn't a bad effort, and Brad House just had to lean back and pluck that out the air. Perez sits down a couple of Hawks midfielders in the middle and finds Shiloh Remy right wing. Chance to cross from here, driven across the area, loose in the 6-yard box and tucked over the line. And Eastbourne Borough have a 1-goal lead already, just 5 minutes into the game. Bundled over the line, but I believe Jake Hutchinson after a cross from the right-hand side. And just as they did against Dorking 365 days ago, the Hawks have fallen behind inside 5 minutes. Across the midfield to Jake McCarthy, edge of the centre circle, looks for that incisive pass to Passley, and he's found his mark. Passley from the byline, across goal, Jason Pryor, saved by Lee Morgan inside the 6-yard box. Pryor on the half volley with a lovely touch towards goal, Morgan equal to it. Still alive edge of the area with Oscar Goburn. You always fancy your chances when Havant and Waterlooville have a corner kick. Billy Clifford to take an in-swing up from the left-hand side. White shirts crowding the 6-yard box. Rooney waits on the penalty spot, deep towards the back post. Rooney looks to jump towards it, gets first contact on it, helped over the line in front of goal by Joe Osler. Rooney nodded the ball back into the area, and Osler stood in front of Lee Morgan, just flicks it into the back of the net for the Hawks equaliser. And with 22 minutes gone, it's Hawks 1, Eastbourne 1. Ready to run forward for the right back to Fowl, controls, back to goal, looking to settle the ball in the penalty area. Step over from Fowl, lifted up towards the back post. Pryor waits. Pryor nods down to Roberts, but it just bounces away from the winger. Still alive with the Hawks, edge of the 18-yard box. Newton to Roberts, cutting in on his right foot, looking for a chance maybe to shoot or cross from here. Roberts' effort stings the arms of Morgan, but nothing else. But Rooney can get his head down and take the space ahead of him. To Passley, back to Rooney, back to Passley once more. Crossed into Mo Fowl, near post, looking for a shot off the post, off the near post from Mo Fowl from the angle and bouncing behind, but not without a touch from Lee Morgan, who tipped that one onto his post to force a Hawks corner. Instead, it will be lifted towards the back post. McCarthy, free header, bounces in front of goal and into the arms of Lee Morgan. And McCarthy head in hands, because really he should have made Lee Morgan work harder just before we heard the first half-time whistle. Out to the right-hand side it goes for Borough. Shiloh Remy, first-time cross, great-looking ball, which goes right across the face of goal. And Hutchinson wanted to get on the end of it, but Rooney just eased him away from it. As Clifford finds Paul Rooney from the restart, and surprise, surprise, Perez is back and sprinting back into his defensive position. Diagonal into the area, finds Roberts, he's brought it down, he's tried a shot from the angle, all the way through to the back post, and Charlie Ruff slides in, and it just goes past the studs of Ruff, who tried to tap home from close range. About 12 yards from the corner flag, white shirts huddled around the penalty spot, Eastbourne Borough marking zonally. Clifford with an out-swinging delivery from the right. Plenty to aim for in there. In it goes from Clifford towards Jake McCarthy. Headed on instead by Joe Osler. And into the arms of Lee Morgan. Into the path of Whelpdale. The Hawks have got a bit of a defensive muddle here, because Whelpdale's been allowed to get in behind, and his effort really didn't test Brad House in the end. It's Joe Newton. Newton looking for a run forward, not seeing any he likes, but he's managed to wriggle away from Shiloh Remy and find Ruff left of centre. Ruff all the way out to the left wing for Roberts. Into Newton. Newton with Birchall on his back. Thinks he's pushed, digs out across from somewhere towards Ruff. Ruff's header loops over the net and behind, but it wasn't a million miles away, Adam. The Hawks back line, but Osler wrestles Lure off it and finds Josh Passley, another diagonal. Pryor wins the header, down to Ruff, takes it in stride, breaking into the penalty area. Charlie Ruff waiting for options, back to James Roberts, sets himself, looks for the shot on the right foot, still hasn't pulled the trigger, eventually does curl one, but the angle was never there. Here's Mo Fowl dancing through the Eastbourne Borough midfield all the way to the edge of the area, 20 yards from goal, shaping to shoot, eventually forces an effort which bounces once off the surface and lands in the chest of Lee Morgan. And Scarlett has it on high on the right wing for Eastbourne Borough. Bounces luckily back to Scarlett. He's bounced through another challenge as well. Fortunate run, finds Remy. Remy smashes it wide, but not without a block from Paul Rooney, who slid in front of his goalkeeper to force an Eastbourne Borough corner kick. And Hawks almost incredibly unlucky there. Corner kick, right-hand side, Eastbourne Borough. One option short is Gravata. Instead it goes deep towards the back post, where Pryor heads away. Vaughan heads back into the penalty area. No pressure on Perez, who's able to control and just roll it under Brad House. And Perez with a goal against the run of play because no one picked him up in the penalty area. The initial corner was cleared. It was lobbed back into Perez, who had time to settle it, put it onto his right foot and slide it under Brad House. And Eastbourne Borough have taken a 2-1 lead against the Hawks. Birchall and Eastbourne Borough are still surviving. 4 minutes of added time coming up, and Eastbourne defending for their lives. Out to Jamie Collins, just sit down in the area, spaced across, lofted towards Jason Pryor, heads back across goal, almost loops over Worgan, but loops onto the roof of the net. Pryor can't pick up Collins' flick on, so Eastbourne Borough clear up to Charlie Walker. Infield it goes, flick towards Shiloh Remy, surely offside. Flag stayed down against Shiloh Remy in the area, 1-on-1 with House, drives towards goal. House saves once and saves at the second attempt from Charlie Lua. And the full-time whistle goes, and Eastbourne Borough have stolen 3 points away from home against Havant and Waterlooville. The Hawks really couldn't do much more in the final 20 minutes of that game, but it won't matter. All that matters is the scoreline, and that says Havant and Waterlooville 1, Eastbourne Borough 2.